A serene morning in Willow Creek Estates, an HOA neighborhood so meticulously maintained it feels artificial. The lawns shimmer with dew, mailboxes stand perfectly aligned, and not a single leaf dares to lie out of place. The soundscape hums with suburban peace, distant lawnmower buzz, the rhythmic hiss of sprinklers, and birds cutting through the still air. Mia Rivera steps out of her modest brick home, coffee in one hand, mail key in the other. Her posture is relaxed but alert, the trained calm of someone who's lived through situations far worse than noisy neighbors. She's a federal agent on leave, savoring the rare taste of quiet life. Her firearm rests holstered at her hip, secure, routine, part of her uniform even off duty. The camera tracks from her boots to her face, revealing the faint trace of a smile as sunlight hits her badge clip beneath her jacket. A slow dolly shot captures the symmetry of the neighborhood, a world obsessed with rules, foreshadowing the conflict about to erupt. Mia's mind is at peace for once. She's thinking about calling her husband for lunch later, maybe walking their dog by the lake. She's in recovery mode, trying to feel human again after months of undercover work. That peace fractures when a voice, sharp as broken glass, slices through the air. "Excuse me, is that a gun on your hip?" Mia blinks, turns, and sees her. Karen, blonde bob, HOA clipboard clutched tight, fury already rising like a storm cloud. Karen marches down the walkway like she's descending a throne. Her heels click across the concrete, deliberate, loud, meant to announce power. In her hand is the HOA's community handbook, highlighted and dog-eared like a holy text. A tight shot of Mia's calm face versus Karen's flustered one. Contrast between composure and chaos. The background blurs to isolate them in their first duel of words. Karen, snapping, "This is a family neighborhood. We don't allow weapons here." Mia, softly, "Ma'am, I'm legally permitted to carry." "I'm not threatening anyone." Karen, "You are a threat walking around with that thing. You could scare the children." The tension thickens. A neighbor watering his plants freezes mid-motion, pretending not to watch but clearly listening. Mia's pulse stays steady. She's trained for standoffs, but this is a different kind of battlefield. She doesn't want to make enemies. She wants peace. Yet, there's an unmistakable flicker of injustice in her eyes. The camera tilts slightly upward on Karen, capturing her self-righteousness. The sunlight glints off her name badge, HOA Secretary. Her words cut sharper than intended. Karen's voice crescendos. "You can't just walk around armed like this." "I'm calling the police." The camera closes on Mia's lips as she murmurs, "You don't have to do that." But Karen's already storming off. Cut to the sound of a phone dialing. Karen bursts into her spotless kitchen, all white marble and cold lighting, the kind of home that screams control. Her hands tremble not from fear, but from excitement. She dials 911 with performative urgency. Over-the-shoulder shot, the phone pressed to her ear, the digital clock in the background reading 8:42 a.m., a timestamp that will matter later. Her small dog yaps near her feet, mirroring her agitation. Karen, "There's a woman outside with a gun." She's acting suspicious. She's threatening people. Dispatcher, calm. "Is she pointing it at anyone, ma'am?" Karen, "Not yet, but she could." "You need to send someone now!" Karen's not lying in her mind. She's reframing. Her insecurity, her need to assert control, has rewritten the scene into one where she's the protector and Mia is the invader. A false hero moment born of pride. The camera cuts between her panicked face and the peaceful neighborhood outside her window. Children riding bikes, a mail truck passing, the stark irony of misplaced fear. The dispatcher's voice returns, steady. "Ma'am!" Officers are already en route. Karen exhales with satisfaction. "Good. Let's see her explain this." The tranquility shatters with the rise of sirens. 2 squad cars glide into the neighborhood, lights reflecting off the pristine windows. Neighbors step out curious, recording. The scene unfolds in wide shots. Karen rushing toward the officers, her hand waving dramatically. Mia standing by her mailbox, coffee still in hand, calm but visibly disappointed. A soft wind rustles through, the kind of silence that comes before truth. Karen pointing. "That's her. She's armed." Officer, steady. Ma'am, please stay back. We'll handle this. Mia raises her hand slowly, voice composed. My identification is in my wallet, left side. I am a federal agent off duty. She doesn't flaunt authority, she explains it. Controlled, trained, careful. Close-up of her badge inside the jacket, half-shadowed, unreadable at first. The camera cuts to the officer's eyes widening as recognition dawns. He takes a breath and says softly, Wait, Agent Rivera. Time seems to slow. The world blurs except for Mia, the officer, and Karen, three figures locked in one electric triangle. The sirens fade. The heartbeat of tension takes over. We hear the faint rustle of the flag above the HOA clubhouse, flapping like a judge's gavel. Officer, Agent Rivera, I didn't realize... Mia, it's all right. You were doing your job. Her tone is respectful, not proud but steady. The mark of someone who's seen too much conflict to crave more. Karen stands frozen, her confidence draining like color from her face. Mia, authority earned. Karen, authority assumed. Now, stripped of her illusion, Karen's world feels smaller. The clipboard in her hand suddenly looks ridiculous. The officer's voice turns hard. Ma'am, he says, turning to Karen, we'll need to talk about that 911 call you made. Karen stammers, surrounded now by reality. The camera circles her, a dizzying rotation symbolizing the unraveling of her control. Officer, you stated she was threatening people. Is that correct? Karen, I thought she was. She looked dangerous. Officer, dangerous. She was standing on her property, ma'am. The neighborhood watches. Phones are up. A teenager whispers, she called the cops on a cop. Karen's face burns red, the HOA queen dethroned. Mia's not smiling. There's no satisfaction, only disappointment. Not for herself, but for how easily fear turns to accusation. The American flag behind them ripples in the wind, unity against division, subtly underscoring the moral theme. The officer lowers his voice. False reporting's a serious offense. Karen's eyes widen. You're not arresting me, are you? A breeze carries the scent of freshly cut grass. The chaos has stilled, leaving only aftermath. Mia stands still, her coffee now cold in her hand, eyes soft but firm. Dialogue, officer, sighing. Not today, ma'am. But there will be a report. Karen, quietly. I didn't mean... Mia, interrupting, calm. Yes, you did. You meant to control what you don't understand. The camera lingers on Karen's eyes, guilt mixing with shame. A subtle push-in on Mia as she holsters her badge, symbolic closure. Mia's empathy is visible but guarded. She's seen too many people destroy peace with pride. This was supposed to be her sanctuary. Mia walks back toward her house, sunlight wrapping around her like armor. Behind her, Karen stands alone, her reflection in the squad car window showing not a villain, but a frightened woman facing herself. Karen's phone buzzes, a message from the HOA group chat. Everyone's talking? What did you do? Her face crumples as the screen fades to black. The morning incident becomes the neighborhood's headline gossip by noon. Windows that once smiled with welcome blinds are now half closed, curious eyes peeking out, whispers slipping through cracks. Soft focus shots of neighbors watering plants, pretending not to stare as Mia drives away in her gray SUV. A child points and whispers to his mother. That's the cop lady. The mother hushes him, glancing nervously toward Karen's house. Inside her living room, Karen scrolls through her HOA group chat. Did you really call the cops? You went too far this time, Karen. She's a federal agent? Wow! Her throat tightens. The queen of HOA control is suddenly the neighborhood pariah. The camera closes in on Karen's trembling hands, her phone slipping onto the couch. The silence feels suffocating. Control, her oxygen, is gone. She looks out the window just in time to see Mia's husband, David, pulling into the driveway. His expression isn't angry. It's disappointed, and disappointment cuts deeper than rage. David steps out of the car, tall, calm, his presence steady but radiating quiet fury. He's ex-military, used to control, used to command. But today he's not wearing a uniform. He's a husband who almost saw his wife get detained for doing nothing wrong. David, you okay? Mia, softly. Yeah, it's fine now. David, fine? He glances toward Karen's house, jaw tight. She weaponized 911. That's not fine. The lighting shifts cooler, from warm afternoon hues to steely gray, mirroring David's emotional temperature. Mia's internal conflict starts surfacing. She doesn't want revenge. She wants peace. But she also knows unchecked arrogance like Karen's always escalates. David looks down at her badge resting on the counter, the same one she was accused for carrying. He picks it up gently. This is who you are, he says. Don't ever hide it because someone feels small. From across the street, Karen watches through her blinds as Mia and David close their front door. Her phone buzzes, an email from the HOA board, emergency meeting tonight. Agenda, misuse of HOA authority. Her world begins to shrink. The HOA clubhouse that night feels tense. Fluorescent lights flicker, folding chairs squeak, and the air hums with quiet resentment. Karen sits at the front table, still trying to hold her posture of authority. But the crowd isn't hers anymore. Overhead shot showing a circle of residents, faces lit by the cold glow of their phones. Karen's voice trembles slightly as she speaks. I acted in the best interest of the community. A man interrupts. You lied to the police! Karen's control starts slipping. She forces a smile, but her hands shake. Maybe I overreacted, but we didn't know who she was. A woman snaps. You didn't have to know. You had to respect her rights. Tension, the crowd murmurs. The balance of power visibly shifts. Karen, once the enforcer, now sits small in her own dominion. The HOA president clears his throat. Effective immediately, Karen, you're suspended from the board until further notice. Gasps ripple. Karen's face drains, fade out. The next morning, Karen stands outside Mia's door, hands clasped, face pale, the confident HOA mask replaced by raw humility. She hesitates before knocking. Soft morning light filters through trees. The world feels gentler but heavy, like the calm after a storm where the air still carries electricity. Mia opens the door, surprised but composed. Karen's voice cracks. I came to apologize. Mia, for calling the police? Or for assuming the worst? Karen's eyes glisten. Both. Karen isn't used to vulnerability. She's spent years building a fortress of rules to protect herself from judgment, but that fortress has collapsed. A cup of untouched tea sits between them at Mia's kitchen table, steam fading as silence stretches. Mia leans forward slightly. You said you wanted to keep people safe, right? Karen nods. Then start by learning what real safety means. Soft fade to a younger Karen, early 30s, standing in a small-town sheriff's office, holding her late brother's badge. He was a deputy, shot during a home invasion years ago. Since then, she's lived terrified of losing control. Muted blue-gray palette. Echoes of sirens, distant and mournful. Her brother's funeral flag folded neatly into a triangle. The camera lingers on it for a beat too long. Her obsession with rules wasn't arrogance. It was grief twisted into control. The HOA became her way of ensuring nothing unpredictable ever happened again. Karen blinks back to reality, eyes watery, voice low. I didn't mean harm. I just thought if I kept order, nothing bad could happen. Mia watches her silently, then says, Control isn't safety, Karen. It's fear disguised as leadership. Karen walks through the neighborhood later, seeing it differently now. Not a domain, but a community. She waves awkwardly at neighbors. Some ignore her, others nod stiffly. She feels small but free. Gentle score. Wide-angle drone shot of the neighborhood from above. Perfect lines. Human imperfections. For the first time, the camera tilts upward, symbolizing growth. Maybe protecting this place wasn't about rules. Maybe it was about learning to trust the people who live here. Her phone buzzes again. A text from an unknown number. We saw what you did. You're not the only one who made that call. Karen freezes. A chill runs through her. The story isn't over. Karen drives to the HOA storage office that night uneasy. She finds files, phone logs, complaint records, and a copy of her 911 report. But there's another name listed under caller, Greg Talbot, the HOA president. Dim overhead light. The camera pans slowly over the paperwork, revealing a shadow of conspiracy beneath what seemed like personal pride. Karen realizes she was used. Greg, known for his political ambitions, likely encouraged her paranoia to control the neighborhood's narrative. Karen whispers, "He set me up." The screen fades to black as she clutches the file, resolve igniting behind her eyes. The next morning, Karen stands again at Mia's doorstep. This time not to apologize, but to warn. Mia opens the door, wary but listening. Karen hands her the file. Karen, the HOA president filed a parallel report. He wanted you labeled as a threat. Not just me. Mia, why tell me this now? Karen, because I finally see what real danger looks like. Two women, once enemies, standing side by side in morning sunlight. The tone is sober, uneasy alliance forming in silence. Mia studies her. This isn't the Karen from before. This one's humbled, cracked open by truth. Mia flips through the file, her face tightening. At the bottom of the report is a note stamped, "Escalate to HOA Security Liaison for removal of threat." Her voice hardens. They planned something bigger. Mia and Karen sit at the dining table, the same one where they argued days ago, now covered with files, receipts, and minutes from HOA meetings. A low golden light filters through the blinds. Dust floats in the still air, the quiet thick with tension. Close up on Mia's gloved hands flipping pages. Karen leans in, eyes wide as the puzzle pieces click together. Greg Talbot, the HOA president, has been quietly funneling HOA funds into a private security initiative. Mia, reading. Unauthorized security contractors. Fake safety patrol reports, all under community maintenance. Karen. He said it was for neighborhood safety. Mia. He said a lot of things. Karen realizes she wasn't just manipulated. She was a pawn in a much bigger scheme. Cliffhanger. Mia's phone buzzes. Unknown number. One line. Stop digging. That night, Mia and David hear a car idling outside. The headlights sweep across their window and then vanish. A chill crawls up the scene. The camera pans slowly across the dark living room, landing on the faint reflection of the lake outside. The score is minimal. A deep bass pulse like a heartbeat. David, quietly. They're watching. Mia. Let them. We'll do this the right way. For the first time, Karen appears at their door uninvited but unafraid. She's holding a folder of HOA surveillance records. Her courage is starting to match Mia's composure. As they review the documents, Karen whispers, "Greg's security team. They were trained by someone off record. And he's listed your name." Mia looks up sharply. "My name for what?" Karen slides the paper across the table. Potential threat to HOA stability. At midnight, Mia's motion lights flicker on. The camera cuts between security footage. Two shadowy figures sneaking near the HOA office, one holding a crowbar. Karen and Mia rush there, flashlights cutting through darkness. Rain begins to fall lightly. The street glistens under lamplight. Inside, they find files missing, the very documents that exposed Greg's corruption. Karen's voice shakes. "He's covering his tracks." Mia's expression hardens. "Not well enough." A single camera near the HOA office catches Greg himself walking out with a black duffel bag. Mia looks at the timestamp, 11:42 p.m. She whispers, "He's slipping." Next morning, Karen receives an anonymous letter in her mailbox. "Stay silent, or your property rights will be reviewed." Her hands tremble. It's not just intimidation, it's blackmail. The morning feels overcast, colors muted, the world slightly off balance. Karen drives straight to Mia's, her confidence gone, but her conscience alive. Karen, "He's threatening me now." "What do we do?" Mia, "We don't react. We respond." Mia places her badge gently on the table, not as a weapon, but as a promise of justice. Her eyes soften. "You wanted to keep people safe, Karen. Let's finally do that." Cut to Greg's office. He's on the phone saying, "We'll handle it before she makes this federal." He hangs up. Camera pans down to his desk. Mia's picture from her ID file circled in red marker. A secret HOA executive session convenes that evening, Greg and two other board members in a dim-lit back room. A projector hums. On screen is a photo of Mia, labeled Potential Risk. Warm light flickers like fire, corruption disguised as professionalism. Greg's voice drips control. She's poking where she shouldn't. If the feds come, we all go down. Meanwhile, Mia, unaware of the meeting, sits at home studying the recovered footage from Karen's phone. She freezes the frame, Greg loading something into his car trunk. She zooms in. It's not papers. It's stacks of HOA cash envelopes, nearly $150,000 worth. Mia's voice low. That's not just fraud. That's felony theft. Morning rain pours as Mia, Karen, and David stand outside the HOA clubhouse. Mia wears her badge again, visible this time, not hidden. Rain drips from her jacket as she knocks on the glass door. Inside, Greg looks up, startled, then smirking. Mia, he says, you're off duty. You can't be here. Mia, I don't need to be on duty to report a crime. She tosses the flash drive of footage on his desk. You stole from the homeowners, forged reports, and manipulated my name to protect yourself. Greg laughs it off, until Karen steps forward, voice trembling but fierce. I was one of your pawns. Not anymore. Mia leans forward. The local precinct already has this data. You're done, Greg. His smile fades. A car screeches outside, unmarked black windows. He glances toward it, panic flickering. You shouldn't have done that. Police vehicles flood the cul-de-sac. Neighbors gather in shock, phones out again, but this time the scene is reversed. Greg Talbot, once untouchable, is handcuffed and escorted out under the same flashing lights he'd abused to intimidate others. Wide crane shot pulling up, flashing reds and blues reflecting off the pristine lake. Karen stands beside Mia, soaked from rain, watching justice unfold. Karen whispers, I thought power was control, but you showed its restraint. Mia's response is simple. No, power is responsibility. Greg turns his head as he's led away. This isn't over, he growls. Mia doesn't flinch. It is for you. Weeks later. The HOA office is under renovation, this time by volunteers, not dictators. Karen sits beside Mia during a board reformation meeting. Quieter now, grounded, changed. The same table where lies were told is now bathed in natural light. Children laugh outside. Peace feels genuine again. Neighbor. So who's the new HOA president? Mia smiles faintly. Someone who actually cares about people. Camera pans to Karen. She shakes her head. Humble. No, I'll serve, but I'll never rule again. A reporter at the door calls out, Agent Rivera, care to comment on the HOA scandal? Mia glances at Karen, then says, It's not about scandal. It's about lessons. Twilight settles over the neighborhood. Mia walks by the lake, the same place she once stood accused. The reflection of the setting sun ripples across the water, warm and forgiving. Soft music swells, a mixture of melancholy and calm resolution. Karen joins her, carrying 2 cups of coffee. Karen, do you ever stop looking over your shoulder? Mia, not really. But now I know I'm not alone. Both women stand side by side, opposites turned allies. Forgiveness isn't loud. It's silent, earned, and necessary. A distant siren echoes faintly in the background, not fear this time, but closure. Karen glances at Mia, nervous. Mia smiles gently. Don't worry, this time they're not here for us. A short montage revisits that moment from the beginning, 42 seconds that once defined misunderstanding. But this time it's reversed. Mia steps out to check her mail, holster visible. Neighbors wave. Karen, watering her flowers nearby, smiles faintly. The same officer from before drives by. He slows, nods respectfully, and salutes. The world has come full circle. Fear turned to understanding. Hostility turned to honor. Mia. Sometimes justice isn't about punishment. It's about perspective, and the courage to change before the next 42 seconds begin. The camera drifts upward as the American flag near the lake catches the golden light of sunset. Peace restored, order earned.